All right, welcome back to another episode of Cameo Podcast, Civic Election Edition. Uh, Make sure you vote on the 20th. I'm just going to open up with that. And moving on, I just had breakfast with Donovan Cavers in, well, a pretty neat little place you have here, Donovan. Can you tell us
Thanks.
about it?
Yeah, so we're sitting in the living room area, although it's all kind of one big space. In my little carriage house, laneway house, near the Sagebrush Theater. Yeah, it's my little sanctuary. I love it. 690 square feet of paradise.
Yeah, it's not a tiny home, but you can definitely see the design aspects from a tiny home brought into this home.
Totally.
Where it's
Yeah.
livable. I can easily see a couple living here quite comfortably.
Mhm.
Definitely a hot topic, right? Is housing.
Yeah, totally.
And we were chatting earlier about this sort of stuff, and how do you think Kamloops can kind of bring this more to the forefront of the conversation for housing?
Yeah, there's definitely kind of emergency aspects to housing right now with the homeless kind of population, and the provincial government I think is starting to address that. The new provincial government's been pretty good about that. But we just need to make sure that we're ready for partnerships on that sort of thing. But when it comes to housing in general, we have to take a more fulsome approach. And there was a housing assessment inventory done a few years ago and talked about various types of housing, like affordable, for purchase, affordable rental, all the whole housing spectrum. And there's needs in all areas. And whenever there's a need in a particular area of housing or type of housing, it puts pressure on all the different other types of housing. So things like carriage houses like this are part of the housing spectrum. So like myself, I'm a fairly young person. I have what I would consider a relatively comfortable income from my business and from being on council. And I was able to build this. I did a lot of the work myself, but because it's a smaller footprint, 690 square feet, I was able to do it the way I wanted to. But the important thing is just to have options so that you can apply to do like a carriage house or a basement suite and all those sorts of things. It's really important that we have those available for people, because when you have different options, people can afford different types of shelter, different types of housing, and having a full kind of spectrum of options I think is a good thing. Because I definitely wouldn't be able to afford to build like a full-size house. But I was at a point where I wanted to try to build something or basically purchase something, and I didn't want to be renting. So this was an option that's sort of in between going from rental to an actual full home, because it was a lot more affordable to do.
Totally, and it's neat for me to be here. We've had our differences in the past. I'll be the first to admit to that. But looking around your house, I told you, yeah, didn't know what to expect, but this is very much Donovan Cavers. You kind of live and breathe what you preach on the council, which is nice to see that you're walking the walk and you're talking the talk and doing the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah.
Got my mountain bike up on the wall.
Yeah.
Got two other bikes outside.
Yeah, the bike's on the wall, right? Because you don't have the space to put it in like a shed, right? You have to be smart with your space.
Exactly. All the cubby holes underneath the stairs, and then the loft bedroom. I'm a pretty tall guy, so there's a few design features that are kind of luxury, like the ceilings are pretty high, but to me, and the kind of the open concept where wherever you are in the space, you can see the whole space. For me, it doesn't seem cramped, even though it's quite a small footprint. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. And actually, the design was, I know an architecture teacher up at TRU, and he's always looking for real life projects. So he got all his first year students to come down here. I put up $1,000 prize, which is way cheaper than for like if you went and got a professional designer to do a laneway house like this. I think it would be $4,000 or $5,000 probably. So I put up $1,000 prize. They all came down, told them what I was looking for. Then they all did as their return project, and I got to go up and actually look at physical models and choose my favorite one, and this is the result of it.
That's actually like I found myself saying that a lot when someone has like a business conundrum or issue. I'm like, why don't you go find someone at TRU to go chat
Totally.
with? Like,
it's a resource that so much of the community doesn't take advantage of.
No.
And there's students who are just constantly clamoring for projects to work on.
Absolutely. Like I had a project that unfortunately I didn't get any recognition for that was used by a big city place, and that sucked. But like if they just said thank you and gave me a letter, that would be right up on my LinkedIn, like that, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
just go find someone.
Yeah, as long as they're being, respectful of the student or the person's project.
Yeah. Give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I think TRU is a huge resource for the community. It's
So
been amazing.
We were chatting briefly about your political career.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you said, no, I'm going to hold off. We're
Yeah.
this.
I forget. Oh, yeah, I was saying, because we were talking about campaigning and how some of the candidates are more well-versed with kind of the process of campaigning. Like, there's a lot of people, like Leslie Lax, who unfortunately dropped out of the campaign. He's a very smart guy. He would have made an amazing counselor, but I had coffee with him and talked to him about kind of campaign strategy and stuff, because being a counselor and running a campaign are two different things altogether. And campaigning in an election is basically, it's like a giant marketing exercise. Like, how well can you get your ideas out to people and in a way that will resonate with them enough that they'll actually go and spend 15 minutes and vote for you. And what I was saying was that this is actually my 6th election campaign, because I ran twice, 2008, 2011 for the federal Green Party, and then in 2011 for council, got on, and then 2014 got reelected, and then in 2017 I ran provincially. So this is actually my 6th campaign as a candidate. So I feel like I'm pretty well versed in how campaigning goes and what's needed. Like I basically, as a rule of thumb, I just clear my schedule for 2 months, because it's pretty full on, and it takes a lot of organizing. There's a lot of different media that want you to do surveys or do interviews. So you have to put your life on hold for a couple months to do it well, and to be able to door knock and get signs out there and all the different things that are required to make sure that people know who you are, know what you stand for, and know what you want to do if you get reelected or get elected.
Yeah, you're quite good at attention hacking. That's what I call it. Some people call it marketing. It's attention hacking. You're good at it. And on the point of the signs, right? You were recently in the media for your...
And I brought it up because it's topical right now. I heard people talking about, like, I honestly wasn't thinking about it 2 weeks ago. There was an article on the Canvas this week. I think it was a guest column from Penticton, and they had basically said, like, it's getting out of hand. It's pretty ridiculous. And
we're talking about how many plastic signs are right now, just to fill people in.
Sorry. Yeah. So basically the signs on the side of the road, and and I had a few people contact me that had read that article and said, I think that we should do this in Kamloops. And I brought it up now because it is happening right now and something that people are thinking about. And it is really wasteful, and it's almost like an arms race, where I think even in 2011, like 2 elections ago, most people on the side of the road, they had like those little 2-foot by 1-foot signs. And then, maybe in 2011 or 2014, a couple people had 4-foot by 4-foot signs. So now this election, like, everybody's got 4-foot by 4-foot signs. And I wouldn't be surprised if next election there's a bunch of people that have 4-foot by 8-foot signs. Like, it just keeps escalating more and more and more.
But doesn't that come off of their like allowed budget of spending though?
Totally. And but the thing is, in a federal election and a provincial election, there's usually like 3 or 4 candidates. So it's like you can actually read the signs. But when there's 20 candidates, like, this time's actually small. In 2014, there was 28 candidates, almost 30. In 2011, when I first ran, there was about 30. This time, there's only about 20. So there's like, a third less than normal. Mm-hmm. And it's still just like, when you come up to an intersection and there's 30 signs, like, I don't think it has an impact really.
Is that why you put like 10 in a row just over the overhead bridge?
Yeah, so
I think Jimmy Joe Hall did the same thing after you took him away.
Spot.
Yeah.
So as you can see behind me, I have a giant stack of signs. And so I had, the first time around in 2011, I basically put 90% of my budget into buses. I had 4 sides of 4 buses. But I got basically 50. It was that and 50 of these little yard signs. In 2014, I got another 50, and I recovered most of them. So I think when I pulled them all out of the crawl space, I think I had 88 of the original 100. So I called all the people that had hosted signs for me, got them up like right away in early September. But as I was delivering them, I looked, and like Bill Sarai and Kathy Sinclair just had blanketed, like Bill Sarai had blanketed the North Shore, Kathy Sinclair had blanketed the South Shore. So I was like, I put out 88 signs. It doesn't even look like I put out any. So I got a bit nervous, and I went to order some more signs, and I was going to order like another 100, but this company was like 25% more to get 200. So I got 200. So I've got there's probably almost still 100 sitting right behind me. So I got kind of nervous and was like, I may as well at least put these out somewhere. And that's why. So I did like, I think there was 30 originally along the edge of Fortune. And then the next day I was like, it's just too much. So I like removed them and left 7. And then I just removed all of them.
Did you order your signs locally?
So the original, these guys.
He's pointing to his original.
These are from Funk Signs, and the Reelect is just actually a sticker.
Yeah.
But the replacements I got, so the big signs that I have are from Funk Signs. These guys, the original 100, 88 that I recovered are from Funk Signs. So any that have my original slogan, a positive fresh view on City Council, are from Funk Signs. But I did shop around when I was looking at getting the next 100. And in the provincial election, pretty much all signs come from some mega shop. So in the provincial election for the Green Party, we got signs out of a place in Calgary. So I got a quote from them and a quote from Funk, and I even shared it with Shelley from Funk, and she said get them from the big guys. And if you get some more, like if I get some more large 4-footers, I'll get them from Funk. But like there is economies of scale. So these ones are from another place out of town.
Okay.
The new ones. But yeah, it's, you have to.
You had that conversation at least.
Yeah, I had the conversation at least. Yeah, and she said, yeah, like because budgeting is so tight, and like I've got a couple buses this time, but I had to cut all my radio because my fundraising wasn't going as well as I was hoping, and I was going to do TV, but unless I get a couple really big donations, I'm not going to be able to do any not like TV ads, but I was going to get like a video, like a short video produced by Mastermind Studios. So I had to cut a bunch of stuff. So my budget's been really tight this time. But
isn't it like just because you have a video created, you still have to distribute it though,
That's
right?
true. But I was going to just do boosted stuff on social media and try to make it fun enough that people would share it or whatever.
But organically, you can get more on Facebook Lives regardless. Right?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Well, because it's going to, think about it, it notifies all your people who are watching,
right? Yeah.
Right, that you're, and then you can
thanks for the campaign,
and then you can share it into groups.
That's true,
right? I just did.
You can share it into groups. I don't know how that works.
You can mass share.
Yeah,
that's how I'm able to get I got about 2,000 views on a video in 24 hours from doing that. It's at 3,300 views right now, 0 budget.
Okay,
I'm a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah,
right.
But I would like to get like a good quality kind of little thing with like a ditty in the background and stuff produced just for like the last day or two. But again, that's only going to happen if I get if somebody comes along with 500, like a couple people come along with $500, then I'll be able to do that. But I had to cut all my radio because I was like, I'm just not going to be able to do it.
Yeah,
which is like last time, because in the rules for donations changed, and they changed for the better, in my opinion. So the provincial government banned corporate and union donations, which I was pushing for hard as when I ran provincially, and I think it's a great change. And they extended those to local governments, and they also set a cap. So the cap for provincial government donations, there used to be no cap. So like KGHM donated like $5,500, like foreign company donated $5,500 to the Liberals over the last 8 years. But now there's a cap. So no corporations, no unions, only individuals. And the cap is $1,200 per person per year. And they extended that to local governments. So it's been a bit harder to fundraise this year. And a lot of candidates, when they run, they sort of self-fund. But the rules are basically the same for candidates. You can do a double donation to yourself. So you can donate $2,400. But a lot of candidates put thousands of dollars in their own campaigns, which you can't do. So if your budget is tight this time, you can't be like, oh, I'm going to put a couple $1,000 more into my campaign. Can't do that this time. So the budget's been tight. So I had to cut a few things. But yeah, that's part of the reason that I ended up kind of outsourcing a little bit on the side.
It's also unfortunate though that the budget's tight, which is, in my opinion, a good thing.
I think so too.
But it's also only to reach 22% of Kamloops.
Oh yeah, well yeah. I think that the voter turnout is going to be a little bit higher. The by-elections are always a little bit lower. So the by-election, I think, it was 21, 22%. I think the regular local government elections are close, usually around 30, 33 in Kamloops. So it'll be a bit higher this time, but still, that's like 1 in 3 people. It's still pretty bad.
Yeah, totally. Right.
And it takes, it's like it takes 15 minutes to go and vote. Like,
yeah, it's never taken me very long. Even if there's a lineup of 10, it's pretty quick. Now, like I said, you're pretty good at attention hacking. As a fellow marketer, I don't
like to think of it that way, but
it's attention hacking. In the world of social media, it's who can get eyeballs, who can get attention. It's an economy of attention. But what's something that Kamloops might not know from just the media that's out there on you that you kind of want to share and explain? Deep breath. As he thinks.
Yeah. I love wearing my soft yoga pants like I'm wearing right now.
As soon as I get home. He looks exactly like you think he would look in his home.
As soon as I come home, jeans are off, yoga pants, soft pants are on. I don't know. I have a pretty like simple life. I don't go on luxurious, like far-flung traveling. I don't feel like I need that to be like happy and satisfied. I feel like I'm a pretty like simple when it comes to what I need to have a comfortable life, like books from the library, that kind of thing. Like my income's never been huge as a caterer, a small business owner. You don't make tons of money, and when I became a counselor, like that was actually a pretty comfortable income for me. A lot of people, it's like a sacrifice to switch to being a counselor because they have to cut back on hours at another job. But yeah, I've like this little lane in my house, 690 square feet. It's like built. It basically paid for. I had a really generous like low interest loan from my grandma that I've paid back, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with how life is right now. And I don't know. I don't feel like I have any like major secrets. I'm a pretty open counselor. I feel like probably more than I would like that the public knows a lot about me already. Sometimes I wish less so. I've been trying the online dating thing again. And,
really?
I definitely don't advertise that I'm a politician because there's a lot of good reasons to be anti-politician these days, namely Trump and Doug Ford. But no, there's definitely it's been interesting because a lot of people before they meet me have an opinion about me or recognize me. I'm like, sometimes that's a bit annoying, but yeah, I don't think I have any major secrets that.
Who's actually looking for men?
No.
It's Tara Holmes for her matchmaking company.
I went to one of her things. I think it was organized by her. I got my former roommate was going to like this speed dating thing, and I guess everyone.
I think that was with Carmen Love. Maybe.
Or yeah. And
that was fairly early on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they don't, or do they do their own independent stuff?
So speed dating, right? Like you meet and then you go through all of them.
Like 5 minutes.
Right? The 5-minute rule or whatever it be. But Tara meets with you, gets to know who you are, and then makes recommendations of who you go on a date with.
Interesting.
Right? Okay. And then, she does have a fee. About that. But yeah, she's been very successful.
Yeah.
It's just, there's less men willing to admit that they're out there dating.
It's hard. I don't want to, it seems like people either meet these days, like 90% of relationships, they start like by meeting online, or like you meet somebody drunk at a bar. And I don't really want to meet somebody drunk at a bar. That doesn't appeal to me as far as.
I was lucky. I was neither met my wife online or drunk at the bar. Nice. Though I did see her drunk at the bar
before you met.
But after I started going after her, and then I got kicked out of CJ's because it was 5 minutes. I couldn't see the urinal in front of me.
Oh no!
I was using cider as a mix for my whiskey, which I figured it was carbonated, so. I'm not drinking right now. I woke up covered in chocolate-covered blueberries on our blow-up sofa couch thing.
This morning?
No. Okay. This was back in university. No, not this morning. No, I've gotten a handle on my drinking problem. Nice. So you're also running for school trustee.
I am, yeah.
Because you want to be a
School teacher.
School teacher, because
Yeah.
you're at TRU.
Yeah, so I'm working on my last 4 courses, and then I'll apply in January for the program, and then it's a 2-year program. So if my application goes well, then I would start the TRU teaching program September of next year, and then it's a 2-year program. But yeah, no, I've been interested in school board for a long time. My grandpa was Henry Grube of the Henry Grube Center, and both my parents were teachers, so it's kind of in my family. And yeah, I've been shadowing at the Kamloops School of the Arts, and I'm so excited for teaching. I've been helping in a grade 6-7 class, and the curriculum they're teaching now about like self-empowerment and self-worth and all this kind of stuff, which is like core in certain grades, is so cool. It has me so excited for society, and how when all of these students grow up with kind of this base knowledge about, emotional, literacy and all this kind of stuff, it's cool. I'm really excited for teaching. And the school board and the city have, we have, I think on paper we're supposed to meet twice a year, but the last 4-year term, I think we met 3 times. So like we meet, when we have to kind of thing, but the relationship's not amazing. It's definitely not amazing, and it could be a lot closer. And so that was part of my motivation for running for school board, was to create a link between the city and the school board, because there's a lot of goals that are kind of right now that are at odds. So for instance, like the city just passed the new official community plan, which calls for, trying to densify the downtown to keep more vibrancy downtown, so get more multifamily buildings, get more people living downtown to support the businesses that are downtown. But at the same time, it's hard to attract people downtown when the school board, there's no, like Stewartwood was closed. Lloyd George, which is the next closest kind of school, is French immersion only now. So there's no neighborhood school. So it's hard to convince, young families to invest in buying a home downtown if they have young kids, if there's no school. So
Totally.
there's a lot of goals that are sort of in conflict between the two organizations. And I feel like if there was somebody on both, it would help create a link and help get more alignment and cohesion between the two organizations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
And there's also a few just school board issues that I'm like, I think they got that wrong.
Yeah.
Like I've just learned the ins and outs of, 2-week spring break versus 1-week spring break, which was a really hot button topic. And they did this huge survey, like 90% of the employees, 65% of parents wanted to stay with a 2-week spring break, and the board went against it and went to a 1-week spring break, even though basically every other district in the whole province goes by a 2-week spring break. So it's like, for some reason, the Kamloops School Board went against all logic and decided to go back to a 1-week spring break.
Yeah, I just see money saved.
Yeah, and there's a few things they've done like that, and the other one is there's portables like scattered throughout the school district, and I think last year that would have been fine, but because that Supreme Court case where they had to shrink all the class sizes, so they immediately had to come up with all these new classrooms. So last year, when they were caught off guard, I think that would have been fine. But this year, like, there's still, I think, 9 portables around Valley View Secondary, which it's not, teachers can make it work, but it's not ideal as a place, for the teacher, for the students. Portables just aren't, you're kind of, segregated off from the rest of the school community. It's just not ideal learning environment to be in portables. So I feel like there's a few issues like that where they kind of have dropped the ball. But the main reason I'm doing it is I think that there needs to be more of a link between the two organizations.
Well, the school board has a bigger budget than the city.
Yeah, no, it's huge, but it covers a massive region, right? It's like the whole TNRD region, so it goes up to like Clearwater and Barrie.
Oh, okay.
So
that makes sense.
There's 5 representatives for the city of Kamloops, and then there's 4 regional school trustees as well, because it covers quite a large region, including Chase and.
Did you see the thing in the news about the what is right, what is left, answer these questions?
I heard it on, I was listening to CBC radio last night when I was driving home, the national newscast it was on last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I saw the original post. What is it, Matt Defoe?
Yeah, it's
Matt
pretty, it's
Defoe.
pretty
I saw
outrageous.
Matt Defoe's original post, and Matt and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. We've had some conversations in the DMs, but I was like, "Yep, I agree with you, wholeheartedly on this case."
I don't know if I agree with how he went about voicing his.
He's very outspoken.
Yeah, but somebody told me that he did like approach the school before he posted on social media. So he tried to say like this is wrong, and he didn't get a response that he was happy with, I guess. But yeah, no, that assignment was
that assignment was crazy.
It was definitely crazy. Like I consider myself like kind of left on the left side of the spectrum and pretty.
I would have considered you too.
Yeah, fairly progressive person, but yeah, like that kind of assignment doesn't really help anybody. It doesn't further the conversation on, you know, politics or anything. It just,
and bringing that attention to kamloops, because that is something like I saw that and I'm like, yeah, this is gonna go viral. And then you just confirmed that like it didn't just go local viral, because I have stages.
Not just BC, it was on the national, the CBC national,
which is
newscast. It was like a tiny little mention, but still
it's like any mention of kamloops, right? Like it's either positive or negative. Let's hope it's positive, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
totally.
If we're trying to draw people here, what's something you want to chat about that you haven't had a lot of chat or opportunity to chat about in this campaign election?
There's probably just the kind of community that people envision. Like the first 7 years that I was on council, like I had a few people ask me like, you know, what were you doing? Like literally 50% of my time was Ajax Mine. And now that that's over, I'm excited to be able to actually put time and energy into things like positive projects. Like basically the concept of livability, I think for Kamloops, we have a lot of room for improvement. We have things like brew loops and like the Buskers Festival and like arts and culture. Like I feel like there's so much just under the surface that if the city or different organizations help foster it a little bit more, it would just like explode. And that's the kind of thing that I think we really need to do, because we're basically competing. Like most of my grad class, probably 50% of my grad class is in the Lower Mainland, because they have a different lifestyle that Kamloops can't really compete with right now, which is, you know, it's always going to be hard to compete with a larger center like that. But I think we have to create a place where people want to live, and it's not just because it's good for the people that live here. It's good for business. Like if people want to attract like skilled workforce, you have to have a place where people want to live. Like doctors can live wherever they want, so you have to have a community that they want to live in. And, you know, young professionals, people in the tech sector, people with startups, they can basically run their business wherever there's an internet connection. So the way you compete is you have to have a community that's just awesome to live in. So things like the Buskers Festival, Brew Loops, those types of community events, music in the park, we need to make sure that those are supported and, you know, keep growing. Like, you know, food trucks, that all those sorts of different things are supported and that they're not taken for granted, because a lot of those, like food trucks, for instance, when the debate was happening, I had my catering trailer still, so I was actually in a conflict, because I could have technically done food truck vending through my mobile kitchen. So I wasn't part of most of those conversations, but once I'd sold it and I wasn't in a conflict anymore, I was talking to some of the councillors and I said, like, these food trucks, you know, they're all on wheels. Like if we don't have like a regulatory framework that they're happy with, they can just drive to another community. like literally this afternoon, they can just drive to Kelowna or drive to Prince George or drive to Vancouver. So we have to make sure that, you know, people that are involved with arts and culture and building that kind of scene and increasing livability, making Kamloops an awesome place to be for like all ages is happening, and that they have the supports that they need.
Yeah, that's your new slogan, building a community for all ages.
Yeah, I've had a new slogan. So forward thinking was 2014. Positive fresh view on city council was 2011, and then building a community for all ages. And that it kind of my lawn signs are all specific to the council race, but I felt like that slogan kind of extends across both running for council and for school board, because there's a concept called 8 to 80 cities. And it's basically when you're designing or doing, you know, changes to a city, whether it's like roads or sidewalks or whatever, there's a rule. There's this organization called 8 to 80 cities, and the 8 to 80 cities concept is that you always think of an 8-year-old and an 80-year-old. So when you're designing, basically, it's how to design a city for all age groups, because there's a lot of seniors vote. So politicians usually give seniors a lot of attention and focus on seniors issues, but it's really easy to ignore people that are, that can't vote. So people that are under the age of 18.
But if you can vote, make sure you can.
Yeah.
I'm 26. I've been here for 6 years. I voted every single year that I
Nice.
had a BC driver's license. Vote.
Vote. Do it. Take you 15 minutes. It's really fast. But yeah, so I want to build a community where young people are happy, older people are happy, all ages, have what they need and are able to thrive and have happy lives, and whether that's like pocket parks or all sorts of different. There's all sorts of ways to accomplish that. But that's my overarching goal if I get reelected.
Well, thanks for chatting with me, Donovan. Where can people find out more about you?
So my website, I just have one website for, running for both school board and city council, and it's reelectcavers.com. And I've got, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, more than I would like. So you can find me on any of the social media. 250-852-2264 is my phone number. Feel free to, just call me direct if you have a quick question about anything. And yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for meeting with me. And if I could ask you one thing is to vote. Make sure you vote on the 20th or before. There is
10th, 11th, 17th.
Yeah. And if I could ask the second thing is subscribe and share this with anyone who you think might want to listen into Donovan and I have a little candid chat about a few things. And thanks again for listening to the Cameo podcast. Cheers. Bye-bye.